Are you worried about Wi-Fi radiation from iPads, cell phones, laptops, and other mobile devices? Today, my guest is Theodora Scarato, the Executive Director of the Environmental Health Trust. She will give us 6 tips we can use in our own home to protect ourselves from Wi-Fi, EMR, and EMFs. So let's learn more.
Ingenious Baby.
I ran across the Baby Safe project, and I'm really excited to talk to you about your knowledge about the risks of exposure to wireless radiation, especially when pregnant.
Thank you very much for having me on today. I'm excited to talk about this really important issue that affects every parent and really every person in the world.
What is wireless radiation or EMR? I mean, how do you describe that to somebody?
Electromagnetic fields are invisible. You can't see them, but it's how your phone connects to the cell tower. So when you use your cell phone, the voice, the music, the videos, it is moving from the phone to the cell tower. A lot of it is absorbed into your body quite intensely wherever it's near. So if it's near your head, you're going to get high levels of absorption of the non-ionizing radiation into your head and brain. If it's near your abdomen and you're pregnant, your body will receive that radiation, as will your developing baby. So even though you can't see these signals, they're very much there, and there are hundreds of scientists who are warning us that we should reduce exposure.
In particular, why should pregnant women be more worried about these risks of being exposed to that? What are the implications?
Children are more vulnerable to wireless radiation and cell phone radiation because they have smaller heads, they have thinner skulls, they have a developing brain. Research shows that children absorb higher levels of wireless radiation into their brain compared to adults from the same device. And the regulations that we have, the US government so-called safety standards, which they're not, they are 25 years old. They are based on an adult male, and they don't even consider a child's developing brain. They're completely out of date. They never even looked at what would be the impact to a pregnant woman. That research didn't exist 25 years ago. And yet we have 25-year-old standards.
But what does that mean exactly? What you said, that brain is altered in some of the studies that have been done. How is it altered? Because I read about ADHD and autism, which to me makes sense because, I've done some interviews on autism and such, and they say, I think it's 1 in 29 boys in Silicon Valley, and it just shot up, and you have to kind of think, is it related to technology somehow? So I'm curious, your thoughts.
Well, the majority of studies that have looked at something called oxidative stress have found an effect. Now, oxidative stress can lead to inflammation, and more inflammation can lead to a lot of other health implications. And what Dr. Martha Herbert documented in her publications was about how, looking at autism and ADHD, there is inflammation in the brain. With electromagnetic fields, there is studies showing inflammation as well. There are many clinicians, doctors and health professionals who have found reducing electromagnetic fields can actually really help with kids who have behavior problems and or who have autism and other health issues, that it's been a way to impact reducing electromagnetic fields can really support the child's resilience. The reason the Baby Safe project, the reason we helped to create this project was that why not just prevent things before they happen? So wherever there's electricity, there are magnetic fields. This is Kaiser Permanente research, which found an association between higher non-ionizing radiation exposures and ADHD in the babies of pregnant women, higher obesity, higher asthma, and as well higher miscarriage rates for those women. So if you hear that there's no problem and it's completely safe, there's no science, it's actually not true. There is a large body of science on this issue. However, what we don't have is any U.S. health and safety agency that's looking at all of these issues. Even the FDA isn't looking at the issue of brain development or impact to reproduction. And we really need to have our US government health and safety agencies evaluating the entire body of research.
Why do you think there are differing opinions, though, between people who say, it isn't affecting?
The question I always ask is, has there been a full systematic review of the science by any entity that speaks and says there's no proof of harm? I have not seen it, not in the United States. In Cyprus, they actually have a directive to remove Wi-Fi from elementary school. In France and Israel as well, they're reducing wireless in school.
Oh, wow.
Over a dozen countries recommend very clearly, they do not say, if you are worried. They say, you should reduce exposure to your child. You should teach them to keep that phone away from their head. The United States just needs to catch up. We need to catch up with the rest of the world on this. And actually, many countries have cell tower radiation limits that are much more stringent than ours. We allow the highest levels of radiation for cell towers compared to many other countries. Some countries will say near where you live or near schools or hospitals or parks that the radiation levels have to be much, much less because that's what's called a sensitive area, which makes sense, but not in the United States.
I know I've seen the glasses, they have you can plug into your wall outlets. Are there any other things that someone can do in their home, say they for whatever reason can't get the wired connection?
A simple first step is at night to turn the Wi-Fi off. Turn off the wireless devices in your house at night. That gives your body all of those hours to not have that exposure, and it really can make a huge difference. Oh, also make sure that there's not any wireless devices that you have. Be aware that sometimes they do emit even when you're not using them. So turn those off at night as well, like the Amazon, Alexa, or any of these wireless speakers, etc. If you can get a strip, like a power strip, and just turn it off, you'll actually save energy and also reduce your exposure. With your cell phone, don't put it to your head. Don't sleep with it at night. Get a battery-powered alarm clock. This alone is like one of the best things to do. It also stops you from checking it at night and getting caught up in your phone when you have no business and you should be going to sleep. So have that phone be in another room and off, actually powered off. You also don't want to charge the phone by the bed, because when you charge the phone or any device, actually, it emits higher non-ionizing electromagnetic radiation. So charge on a surface away from when you're sleeping or where you're hanging out, and hopefully when you're not using it. Try not to use the phone when it's charging. With your cell phone, turn those antennas off that you're not using, like the cellular, the Bluetooth, there's a whole bunch of antennas on your phone. Only turn on the one you specifically need at that time and sort of get used to it. Another thing you can do is turn the phone on airplane mode more. There's a lot you can do with your phone even while the antennas are off. You can take pictures, you can take video. There are applications you can use. You can do almost everything except make calls on your phone with an Ethernet cord. If you hand your child a device you want your child to watch a movie or something like that, have it pre-downloaded. It doesn't have to be streaming all the time. If you want to play music on your device, have it pre-downloaded. Spotify has playlists. So that's what my kids do, is it's all pre-downloaded and they can listen, but they had to think about it in advance and download what they wanted. I realize that requires some planning, and that's something that our society is starting to lose. So it is a good skill to gain. Try not to use a cell phone in the car or wireless devices in the car, because when your car is traveling and the antennas are emitting, you actually can get higher levels of radiation, especially some people will rest it on their lap while they're talking. Well, then you're exposing yourself, your body to that. And as the car is moving, it can go to higher levels because it's reaching the new each cell tower that it's passing. And in addition, cars are metal. And so the radiation can actually bounce and reflect in unusual ways. And even if you're using a device in a car, your child is actually going to receive some of that exposure. And I say that as someone who has used a cell phone in a car for hours and hours and hours with my kids. And all I can tell you is when I heard this, I was shocked. I used to have a sling and put my baby in the sling and the phone in the sling because, my most important thing and then my most important way to communicate. All together, walked around, did all kinds of things. I wish that I knew when I was a young mother about this issue because there were so many times I could have just turned the phone off or just minimized my exposure. And I wish I knew.
Good. I think it's good to have that awareness. People don't think it's part of our lives now. We're part of daily modern life.
The Baby Safe Project appeal has been signed by over 250 doctors, scientists, and educators. They are recommending reducing exposure to protect babies' brains.
A lot of great information.
Thank you so much for being interested. This is a big jump.
Were you surprised by anything that you learned today? I would love to know what you're doing at home to protect yourself from wireless radiation in the comments below. You can also visit us at ingeniousbaby.com, where we have gathered expert top things you must have in your home. So come on over and check it out. You can also sign up for our VIP newsletter to get the latest secrets and tips from childhood development experts from around the world. Until next time.